quick little live stream, and then we're gonna do a professional one. We're discussing WhatIfAltHist's video on pretty much the Great Depression. Although I saw a top comment that says, "I hope people call it the Great Misery."
Great Misery. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's a good little marketing trick to call it the Great Misery. But either way, I think. Okay, by the way, his little chart on first world, second world, third world, I have issues with that chart. He had Iran.
Isn't it just the standardized one or whatever? Like,
honestly, I don't even know where he got it from. He had Iran.
Wait, isn't it just the standardized? Like,
okay, perfect. No, I can hear you live on YouTube. I don't know where he got it from. Okay, sorry, I was just double checking that. No, here's the thing though. I mean, I hope I don't get copyright struck. If he, oh my god, if he actually shows up to the stream, I would cry. I mean, he's not
Did you link him? Something?
No, because I don't have him on any media, although I could try. But here's the thing though, he is, I mean, he's not a giant YouTuber. I mean, I don't even know if he's, what?
And he's fairly large. He's not like tiny by any means.
Well, that's the thing. Let me check WhatIfAltHist. He's getting bigger. Oh, dude, 280,000 subscribers. I mean, come on, that's pretty small. I mean, not that I'm not like that. He's 100,000 times bigger than me, but I'm just saying, like, it's pretty small. And the picture that he used. Oh, but I screenshotted so many things from his video because it was one of the most intelligent videos I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay. What I really like, little graphs, like the little like arrow charts he made.
Oh, it's so
like,
good.
You can tell he made it by hand. Dude, like, I've been saying that for fucking years. That's exactly how the stock market and generally just the economy in general and the way that the government functions with welfare and all that, like, funnels money to the top. Like, it's just I mean, it's both the nature of capitalism to do that, but it's also, like, the way that the government structures, like, payouts to the poor and stuff.
Dude, but that's the thing. I really don't want to sound like I'm against capitalism, but yeah, though there's definitely issues with it, and that's why, I don't know, maybe we should be national capitalists or capital nationalists.
You know, the funny thing about capitalism, though, especially like in the modern economic world, like, this is what he was talking about in his video, like, and I totally agree that this is viewed as normal when in reality it's absolute insanity. But if you think about it, capitalism actually benefits people who don't live under a capitalist system more than it benefits the people who live in it. All the people who've benefited the most from capitalism, it's been the people that live in third world poor countries.
Okay, whoa, you just blew my brain. That's actually an extremely good point, but I disagree with you saying that what you said was actually pretty smart. I almost said the word genius, but my issue with it, you almost make it sound like it hurts us. But it doesn't really hurt us and help the third world. But you're right; it has benefited the third world more than it helped us. That's 100% true.
It kind of does, though. It kind of does, though, hurt us, though, because of the nature of that competition. So as those smaller, poorer nations start to industrialize, because of the influx of capital investment from the capitalists, from the rich countries, right? They start to industrialize, and then they start to undercut the rich countries, which doesn't affect the super rich people, because they have those investments in those countries.
Yep.
It does affect everyone living on the ground floor of the economy, living out on the ground, like, it affects us negatively. It affects. This is why there's such a disparity between the market, the stock market, and what's really happening in the real world. And that actually is generally a very good sign that things are about to come crashing down very, very fast.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's 100% true. And you're right. The fact that so many things are inflated. I mean, you said you think Bitcoin's inflated. I strongly disagree with you. You said since 8 years ago. I mean, if you said Bitcoin is inflated since last year, I would have said, okay, maybe you're right. But 8 years ago, no. Bitcoin is definitely not inflated since 8 years ago.
It depends on how you define the value of it. Like, I mean, there's something to be said for like, okay, something's value is what people are willing to pay for it, and that's true. But like, if you want to look at Bitcoin's like true value in terms of like how much it costs to mine the electricity, how much does it cost to buy the servers to mine it, like how much does it cost to rent out the warehouse space, you know what I mean? Like there's a real world cost to it that is significantly below its current value. So like judging from that, based off that, yes, it's been inflated for like 7 or 8 years. But
wait, sorry.
Not necessarily the best way to measure the value of it. So it just depends on like how you go about measuring like its true value, I guess.
Well, no, this is the thing. Okay, wait. Are you able to look at the YouTube stream right now? Because I'm showing his charts. It's on YouTube Live. Are you able to look at it or not?
Let me see. Hold on. You streaming it on Alex or G?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
So you should mute it though. Mute it. Mute the stream.
I'll mute it. Hold on. I gotta find it first.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Does it not say I'm live?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Okay, perfect. So I mean, this is a beautiful chart that he made, showing, and actually, it's, dude, the guy has a gift for.
Hold on. Yeah. All right, I'm muted.
Good.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. The guy has a gift for simplifying extremely complicated topics because, like, look at. I mean, this is pretty much it. It's like, I get money from working at the grocery store. I pay the barber. The barber gets his shirt tailored. Your tailor buys groceries. They pay me because I'm the one who work at the grocery store. I pay the Indonesia worker that the shoe buys. Investors, invest in those Indonesia. Barber company pays your shirt. Again, now the thing is, one of these things is going to get cut, and so the Indonesia thing, if we remove that, then the shareholders aren't going to be able to invest, so we have to cut that off, and then the grocery store, the company that pays the store, that's going to get cut. So yeah, it's going to mass.
This is why. Yeah. So this is exactly what happened. I mean, this is what happened in the Great Depression, and this is what happened with the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008. It's exactly what he was talking about in his video, and this is something I've been saying for a long time as well. Like, this is why I love this video so much, because talking about things that I've been talking about for quite a while, and it's just a very nondescript forward statement of how economics works, and he just cuts through all the bullshit. Yep. That's what I love about it, because you talk to an economist, they overcomplicate everything. It's really annoying. This was one of the reasons why modern economics. Like, it's people make it way too complicated. Like, a graph like that explains everything you ever need to know about economics. Like, and if one part of the system fails, it all fails. And that's why, like, the housing market in 2008 precipitated an entire economic crash, because everything is so dependent on different sectors. Like, and different parts of the economy are dependent on other parts. So when one fails, everything fails. Exactly.
And that's the main thing.
Such a good, like, simplistic definition of, like, it's just I don't know, it's really awesome. Like, I wish that's how they taught economics courses. Like, everyone could understand economics really easily that way.
Oh, no, that's 100% true. And now here's the funny thing. Now, when it comes to wage, though, now, here's the thing. Look, we here in the West, like, we still have a high wage, still relative to the world. Dude, it's not like, yes, I get it. A lot of our jobs get undercut, but we still live a way better lifestyle than they do in the third world countries.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's true. But in terms, yes, that's true. But you have to look at it in terms of which one is improving and which one is not. And at best, the first world is stagnating in terms of standard of living.
Yep, that's true.
Especially in countries like Japan or China or Korea or places like that, right? On on paper, yes, they're getting richer, but because of inflation, they're not actually getting richer. It's all fake. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's a fake. Yeah.
And their standard of living is actually decreasing, even though productivity has gone up massively. Productivity's gone up crazy high, mostly because of technology. But at the cost of that, the result of that is that it's harder to start a family. It's your
housing, yeah. No. The family point was actually a great point, because you said it's harder for like listen, I know a lot of parents grandparents back in my day I could buy a house, but it's not that simple. That it's not like, yes, I get it, a lot of Gen Zers are lazy, but it's not that simple. Like, oh yeah, if they were just more hardworking they could afford houses. No, it's not as simple as we're just too lazy to afford houses.
Well, and the housing market has gotten predominantly expensive in order to try to keep up with inflation. Like, that's a big reason why it's way harder to buy a house now than it was 35 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, dude, right now, like, you know me, I've moved 5 houses in the last 2 years, and literally every single landlord I had was either Indian or Chinese. There's a lot of rich Indians and Chinese that moved to Canada and bought a bunch of houses.
For sure.
Yeah, and also this was interesting. I think the economic world that mattered in 1970. So these countries combined, I think, were 75% of the entire global economy. I think. Well, now these countries combined is 75% of the global economy. So the thing about this is, if any of these green countries crash, it will have obviously U.S. and China matter the most, obviously, but it's not like the other greens don't matter. Like if Canada's economy crashes, it will hurt you guys too. I think U.S. I think like U.S. is 20% of the global economy, or no, actually no, 25%. China is 20%. Canada is 3%. But still, let's pretend that 3% crashes. It still hurts everybody. Germany is 5%, and Japan is like 7%. So these, and I'm surprised Saudi Arabia got so high, but
oil export, bro. But I know, like especially like you said, yeah, obviously America and China, but he talked about this in the video too, where he was saying that like China might have enough like autocratic control over their economy in order to sort of prevent or at least prolong an economic crash.
Yeah.
Though I believe that China's economy will blow up eventually. You cannot maintain a debt to GDP ratio of over 300%. It's simply not feasible for a long period of time. But their state is autocratic enough to where they might be able to maintain some semblance of control. However, he said in the video that will require them to basically become a black hole in and of themselves and stop a lot of trade, and that in and of itself will precipitate an economic disaster in the rest of the world, specifically the United States, but also probably China itself eventually as well. Because literally China's currency is completely propped up by trade right now. Like if China loses trade, their currency tanks. Like actually, this is kind of a mystery what their currency is actually worth, because they do so much export.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? That's one of the things that really shocked me, that China's debt to GDP has just tripled. And I was like, wait, they owe 3 times their GDP? I always thought America was the most indebted countries, but I mean, I guess it
actually doesn't. Well, technically, America has more debt, but the ratio of debt to asset of China is much higher. Yeah. So if you look at it as a percentage, yes, technically China is worse. But which doesn't surprise me at all, though, because China industrialized really fast, right? Over the last, 25, 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And financed all of that by printing money and spending it, which is how all major first world nations, that's how first world countries deal with the competition aspect and being undercut. Is they just go into massive debt, they print a bunch of money in order to pay for stuff and make it, because they refuse to accept that they simply can't keep up. And so instead of accepting that fact and actually making legislation that makes sense, economic legislation that actually makes sense. They just continue to print money and build new projects and industrialize, which is exactly what China did. And it makes a lot of sense that they did that because they basically said, okay, we're going to sacrifice our economy in the long run in order to, have power now and industrialize now, because they wanted to industrialize quickly, and they did it through inflation, which is really, really bad economic practice.
It is, but it made them the number one exporter in the world. They export everything to everybody.
It's true.
Yeah.
But is it worth potentially 20 years of a depression later, later down the road? I say probably not.
Oh yeah, and that's what's going to happen right now. Let me see comparison of life and quality GDP. Oh, this is Korea and how Chinese rate their current life. Yeah, okay, so the Chinese have actually, they have said. I mean, honestly, I don't mind. Wait, say something, Andrew.
Oh no.
Okay, no, I wanted to hear you because I thought I pulled the thing. I said I don't mind these self surveys because you can't really. I mean, the best way to find out people's life quality is literally just to ask them, and it's a good survey. Like, there's no objective measure. Like, whatever country's having more sex is happier. Like, no, it's not that simple. So a survey is good, and the Chinese have. The Chinese have their happiness has stagnated while they actually have a stronger purchasing power parity in international data. So even the Chinese aren't happy with their own country. So they're definitely.
Okay, but purchasing. So I've actually kind of come to the conclusion that purchasing parity power doesn't really matter. Like unless you're specifically comparing PPP with poor nations to rich nations. Like I personally think comparing PPP between rich nations really is almost useless.
Yeah, you're right. That's why, the fact that China's number one PPP, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean now China's the leader of the world. No, it doesn't mean they're nothing.
Right. The only reason that currencies like the yuan or the dollar are stable. Well, actually, the yuan's not even really that stable, but the dollar appears stable, even though it's not. Is because the entire first world is printing money like madmen, and inflation is extremely high everywhere. So it looks like the U.S. dollar is stable, even though it's not. And he talked about this in the video that I personally think cryptocurrency is going to set it off. I think the digitalization of asset class is going to set off the economic depression and the crash because, for multiple reasons. One, because it creates less faith in the U.S. dollar.
Yep.
And that is really the only thing propping the U.S. dollar up right now is the faith that people have in it that it will continue to be stable.
Yeah.
If that faith goes away even a little bit, that will precipitate major problems. So that's first of all. And second of all, cryptocurrency is still an unproven asset class. I mean, you can say what you want about it, and I know you're a fan of Bitcoin and all that, and I am too. However, it is still an unproven asset class. And it's an asset class that cannot handle trillions of dollars of capital infusion. It simply will not be able to handle that level of capital. And in so doing, it's going to be exactly what happened to the housing crisis in 2008, except it's going to happen with a digital asset class. And that money is going to go away. Values are going to drop from the sky high levels that they are right now. And that in turn is, cause ripple effects throughout the entire economy, right? And I think that crypto is going to be sort of flashpoint of this.
Yeah, but what I find the funniest, and or maybe not funny, but ironic, is that literally it's faith. Faith. It's people's faith in the U.S. dollar is literally what could cause a crash. So it's literally if Westerners literally, And the funny thing is, I don't know if Jordan Peterson said something like this, or other or Sam Harris, or any of the intellectual, dark web people. It was like, it's so funny that people like Westerners need to stop hating the West so much, and that's so true. Like, the West is still extremely strong, but if we literally do not have faith in ourselves, then we will crash. And the funny thing is, that's exactly
how you define strong, though. Like, if you define it as like military power, then sure, but like not economic power at all. I personally think it's the poor countries that have power over the rich countries right now.
No,
they might not realize it, and they might not have the military power to back it up. But it's the poor countries that are driving the world's economy right now.
Dude, okay, come on. And literally look at the countries we have in this server. I bet you if we add up, actually we should do this later, add up the total GDP of all the countries that we recognize in the server. Because technically our server is literally just pretty much Western countries. Like, we don't consider European Union, and we don't consider Middle East, you know what I mean. Literally, I bet you we're more than half of the global GDP. Well, actually, we gotta check. I think we're maybe about half of the global GDP. Are we not?
At least 35-40%.
Yeah, but here it is. This was my favorite chart in the whole. I mean, he had so many good charts, but the most traded currencies around the world. And he literally, I loved how he said some guy from South Africa who wants to buy Egyptian whatever, he's not going to use South African dollar, and he's not going to use Egyptian dollar. He's literally using American. I was like, oh my god, that's such a good point. Look at this. 44% of all global trade, they use USD. Euro is actually quite high, but still, and the Japanese yuan is pretty high. And I was surprised Canadian dollar was 2.5%, but yay, good for Canada, I guess. But yeah,
Chinese yuan? The yuan's Chinese, so you know.
No, JPY. I think that's Japanese yuan.
Oh yeah. Oh, JPY. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And because I think JPY, and then GBP is Great Britain pound, and AUD is Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. I think CHF is Chinese something. I don't know. CHF maybe.
HKD, is that Hong Kong?
Oh, Hong Kong. That makes sense. But okay. But either way, look at
Hong Kong dollar, New Zealand dollar.
Like, dude, the biggest, America's biggest economic competitor is the European Union. However, they're imploding in themselves. So, and militarily, they're literally nothing. Like one invasion from Russia and China. Obviously, if US doesn't help Europe, they're fucked. China and Russia can just take down Europe right
now. Maybe, I don't know. I think if China and Russia teamed up together, they could probably. I mean, maybe even Russia too by itself, potentially.
I mean,
I don't know if they'd be able to cover all of Europe, because Germany has a decent military, France has a decent military, obviously Great Britain. So,
well, no, but I'm saying Great Britain.
Definitely, what?
Oh, sorry. I'm saying Great Britain wouldn't help Europe, so it's European Union versus Russia and China.
Oh, then probably. Mm-hmm. I would say, including Britain, it would be a lot more difficult, but they would definitely easily be able to overtake Eastern Europe for sure.
Actually, I disagree, because I would say the strongest country in Europe right now is actually Poland. Well, the European Union, not Europe. Poland's actually the biggest spender. I think Poland and Turkey are the biggest spenders in their military, in all of.
Turkey actually has a pretty good air force.
Yeah, surprisingly, actually. But so this chart. Anyway, this chart is the chart that pretty much gave me hope, but also gave me fear, because. And as an American, I would kind of feel proud, because I'm like, damn, literally 44.15% of the entire global currency trades are with the American dollar. But this also kind of puts you guys with...
It makes a lot of sense, though. It makes sense because the U.S. is really the only country in the world that can offer security when it comes to financial transactions. No other country in the world, apart from maybe Australia or Canada, can really offer that like the United States can.
Wait, why not European Union?
The European Union is there's too much internal conflict and strife inside the European Union. And if one country goes bankrupt, like Greece did, it causes massive problems with the euro in terms of its valuation and in terms of its too much internal price fluctuation and all that shit.
True. I wonder why they don't kick Greece out, or maybe I don't know. Whatever the constitution is. But this is the whole great power comes great responsibility. Because this literally shows if US falls, the domino effect will be massive. And also, and also he's right that he said expect multiple revolutions in the third world, and he's 100% right.
Sure. I mean, we're already starting to see that happening. But
U.S. military presence. This is every single country that the U.S. currently has military presence in. Okay. This literally shows, the stability of the world is because of it. Like, look at what happened in Afghanistan. Although I think the U.S. did a good job by leaving, but obviously Biden did terribly. He should have took out the citizens first, then the soldiers. But look at Afghanistan. Like, as soon as the troops are leaving, it's already chaos. This literally shows the stability. I actually would argue every single third world country that the US is currently in, if they pull out, there will be a war. Like every single country here and here, there will be a war. Not
about every single one, but
in the third
generally, foreign occupations tend to create power vacuums, which generally result in revolutions or wars. So yes.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. It's not like Afghanistan was all peaceful and beautiful before the U.S. showed up. I actually would say the U.S. made Afghanistan better.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I'm not an expert on the Middle East, so I could be wrong, but I feel like that's probably not true.
Oh, no. I can tell you.
A lot of these places with dictatorships, but like with Syria, for example, under Gaddafi, yes, he was a dictator, but Syria was actually better off before U.S. ever got involved.
Okay, that is true. Libya, Syria, and Iraq, I agree.
Libya. Sorry.
Yeah, you said
the countries back.
No, but you're 100% right. The U.S. invasion of Iraq, Syria, and Libya actually did technically make things worse. However, it also got rid of major enemies, especially Iraq. Like, come on, Saddam Hussein would have definitely tried to attack U.S. in the future. But still, yes, it did make things exactly worse because there was more stability before the U.S. showed up. However, Afghanistan is actually not an example of this. Afghanistan is one of the examples of literally U.S. actually made things better. I know it's surprising, but yes, that is. I would say Afghanistan is one of the rare ones. But
I'm not an expert on the Middle East. This is really not my field of knowledge. I don't know much. I need to study up more on it. It's not something. The history of it, and I mean, I know the ancient history of it and shit, but that's not really that applicable to modern day.
But that's true. But no, I would personally, I promise you, if I had doubt, I would have told you. I'm not 100% sure, but no, I'm 100% sure. I promise you that it wasn't. But also, this is true. And what's beautiful about this video is he is still saying he does still support capitalism, because when it comes to central planning, that's the thing. Central planning cannot keep up with real world conditions. Meanwhile, capitalism, which wasn't centrally directed, was able to adapt to real world chaos far better. And that's still the case. He's not advocating for a socialist or communist revolution. However, and could we? This is one of the things that pisses me off about could we, because when I say that I support protectionism, he's like, "Oh, that's not capitalist." I'm like, no. I still think we should have a completely free market inside our countries. Less laws, less regulations, less taxes. But I'm saying when it comes to trading with other countries, we should put some tariffs on those because they put tariffs on our shit. So why not put tariffs on their shit? And it could be I would say, oh, well, that's not capitalism. Tariffs is anti-capitalism. I'm like, and that's the problem. Technically, he's kind of right, but
no, not necessarily. And I mean, I'm sure he'd have a moral philosophy based argument on this. But
yes.
time, it's like capitalism is not necessarily exactly what Adam Smith described in The Wealth of Nations. Like, there's a difference between free marketism and capitalism. Capitalism can take many different forms, and some of those forms include protectionist type tariffs or regulation on a free market. Like, you can try to have a completely unregulated free market, but that is capitalism, sure, but it doesn't mean that what we have now is not also capitalism.
Well, and that's the thing. I would say, I do want a unregulated free market. However, the only regulation I want is when it comes to trading with other countries. That's it. Like you can, build whatever you want in here. You can build your own little marijuana plant or your pizza shop or whatever, but the issue is when you're buying from other countries, I do think we should put tariffs on those just to encourage more people to buy from us instead of buying from others, and vice versa. Like, dude, China puts tariffs on our stuff.
People aren't going to buy from us unless it's cheap. This is the problem with America trying to become like some giant exporter like China, because it costs too much money to do things in America.
Oh yeah, no, but that's the thing. I'm not even saying we should be exporters. I'm saying just when it comes to Americans and Americans, like, China puts tariffs on our stuff all the time. So why shouldn't we put tariffs on their stuff?
I mean, sure, but like, one big reason is that China doesn't have to sell to us. Like, if we start putting tariffs on, their stuff, like, if they're like, we don't. One of the reasons why we don't put tariffs on Chinese stuff is because we're more reliant on Chinese production than China is reliant on U.S. production.
Well, I mean, we pay them a lot of money, so. Oh wait, no, production. Sorry, production. But in terms of buying, sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Chinese goods are more valuable in the United States than U.S. goods are valuable in China, because, like, I mean, it depends on the market, obviously, but speaking in general, like, China doesn't need U.S. production in order to create, widget X or widget Y. Like, the U.S. does need that because it's too expensive to produce those widgets here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big reason why we don't put tariffs on their stuff, because we can't afford it.
Well, that's true, but what are we doing right now with the whole trade war? Which I'm actually pretty happy that Biden didn't just stop it.
What trade war? What do you mean?
The whole trade war that Trump started in 2018.
With China?
Yeah.
I mean, did he actually put any tariffs on Chinese goods?
I actually got to check, to be honest. But I know, no. I think he put. I don't want maybe sanctions. And he did something. And Biden never. And Biden didn't stop it.
That's the reason why you don't see a lot of tariffs on Chinese goods, because we are more reliant on them because they're undercutting us. That's like the whole point of the video. He's saying because first world nations, specifically China included, are being undercut by nations that are poorer, and that reason why they can undercut is because they're poorer, realizing quickly because of the amount of capital from rich countries flowing into them, that they can undercut these larger nations, and because of that, that's why it's more expensive to produce goods in first world countries than it is to produce them in Venezuela or Mexico.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, I loved it. I love how, like, the fact that we're printing fake money, like, it literally is just helping rich people. Even though technically it's like supposed to be free money for poor people.
Oh, in the long run, it doesn't help anybody, rich people included. It will have a much more destabilizing effect on the general population than it will on the super rich, obviously.
Oh, huh.
But yeah, it's literally just faux. It's all fake, dude. It's designed to create the illusion that your standard of living is increasing, even though it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something I've been saying for a long time, because governments and corporations are so fucking they're so hard-headed. Well, yes, that too, but they're so hard-headed that they refuse to recognize the fact that there is too much competition in the global marketplace. Like, that's essentially it. Like, they're just so pro-capitalist that they're like, it's like kind of like almost like Cudby says, although at least Cudby's at least reasonable. Like anything other than pure unfettered competition is somehow like evil and communist, right? You can have such a thing as competition.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the thing. I don't like you calling it capitalist. I think you should call it globalism, because I think the main issue is globalism and not capitalism. Although technically, in this case, they go hand in hand. But like I said, I think if we have capitalism, but with our countries and our allies, and less capitalism with the rest of the globe, I think that would make things a lot better, because it would encourage local production. It would encourage. It would actually decrease the competition, because you're no longer going to compete with the rest of the world. You would only compete with the allies. Like, literally, it's just it's more friendly, actually. It's friendly competition. That's literally just, you're not competing with some Chinese millionaire's kid who's going to come here and pretty much take your spot at the university or whatever. You're competing with allies from Canada or Australia or whatever, which I don't think people would have a problem if people from our ally countries are competing with us.
Is that your phone or my phone?
Where? That's probably yours.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's mine. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Huh. Like the issue.
Put it on.
What?
Oh, nothing. You're good.
And then inflation and deflation. I forgot the other picture. Oh, by the way, I've noticed this myself. Like, I don't know why it says 159, because for me, my coffee increased. I actually forgot, but yeah, it was 125, and for me, right now, it's 225 for me. Like, this is 2019. In 2021, my cup of coffee is 225. Like, the price actually went up, dude. It's like, I've never noticed inflation happening to me like so fast. This coffee one is so good. Are you seeing the stream?
Yeah, I can see it.
Dude, I was talking to Sunny about this like a month ago. I was like, Sunny, have you noticed the price of the Tim Hortons coffee went up? And he's like, oh shit, you're right. Dude, like, we legit were so oblivious. I'm like, oh my god, our coffee has, within just 2 years of a pandemic and all this money printing, it actually affected us.
I mean, yeah, it's affecting the entire fucking world. It's crazy. Dude, like, and the other thing he talked about in the video too is like, you can almost like just instinctively tell when a crash is going to happen, because
something's wrong.
Things are happening that shouldn't be happening. Like the fact that, like he said in the video, like that Dogecoin, a meme currency that has no real world practical application at all, and if you do, you're really kidding yourself.
Yeah, you're.
I mean, if you think it does, like Dogecoin has no practical application whatsoever. Has a market cap of 100 some odd $billion or whatever it is, hundreds of billions, and like that is something that shouldn't happen. Like that doesn't make economic sense, and or the fact that like tech is so ridiculous. He talked about this in the video too, like that tech startups that make absolutely no money are getting millions of dollars in backing by investors. Like that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can just and even that the stock market is just so out of touch with reality and like how people are living their day-to-day lives. Like in a healthy economy, the stock market reflects how the economy is doing in the actual real world.
Yep.
That means you have a generally healthy economy. Like when there's this massive like
disconnect.
between what the stock market is doing and what the economy is doing, that generally doesn't bode well for the next year of what's going to happen in your economy.
100%. And this is why this is, I don't know, I mean, they say red pill is usually when you like become Republican, or blue pill is usually when you become Democrat, but I don't know, I feel like I'm green pill, because like everybody is living in a wonderland thinking, oh look, we're all getting free money from the government from this pandemic, governments are printing. But no, this is something that, no, there is a giant bubble that, I mean, what did he say? I forgot the video. He said 3 years from now he thinks it's going to happen. I mean, he didn't like put a specific date. He didn't say like it's going to be Wednesday, August 24th of 2023. But he did say by the next 3 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's actually happening. It might be in the next 5 or the next 10, but in the first half of the 21st century, no doubt. Of that, I have no doubt.
Oh, dude, no! I will bet you $100. And the reason I'm saying $100 because the money is going to be valued more. But I mean, but like, I'll bet you it will be this decade, 100%. Not this century, this decade.
Yeah, I could see that as a very real possibility. I wouldn't want to make that bet because I could see that as a very real possibility.
Yeah. No, there's definitely. The thing is, have you seen the movie The Big Short?
Parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh, dude, one of the best movies of all time. Like, they did a pretty accurate documentary slash. I mean, no, it wasn't a documentary, but it was a good movie based on a very real story. And those guys
it was about Michael Burry, wasn't it?
Oh, it was about Michael Burry and like 3 other guys who were the only people that were smart enough to, predict the housing bubble. And one of the things they said was actually the bubble was supposed to happen in 2007, but I don't know if something happened. There was some tricky going on. Like Michael Burry originally predicted that would happen in 2007, but then ended up happening in 2008. So the guy was off by a year, which is still extremely impressive. But even he actually, the funny thing is, he noticed that it actually should have happened in 2007, but apparently like there was some trickery going on with the government and the businesses. They were trying to like keep it up, but some things you can't just keep printing and faking just to fix something. Like some bubbles will burst.
It's all about how much money you put into certain markets. Like actually almost all markets function this way. Not the entire market as a whole, but when I say a market, I mean like an industry, for example. Like you cannot just throw money at something. You can't just throw trillions of dollars of capital at an industry, whether that's the real estate industry or whether that's cryptocurrency, for example, and expect it to somehow be able to maintain that capital infusion when it doesn't have the robustness in order to survive that type of capital infusion. That's why industries crash like that when they get a massive amount of capital, just like you're throwing money at a wall, basically.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that capital, they'd keep it up because the bubble didn't happen by 2008, but it still bursted. So whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so the guy Montgomery was actually pretty accurate, but if it wasn't for the treachery, it would have happened by 2007. But anyway, the guy is really great. Okay, this was the picture I wanted to show you. Look at what specifically. Look at the Middle East. He put Israel as first world. Okay, makes sense. And then
I can't even see it.
Wait, what do you see on the stream right now? Wait, look at it again.
See the first world, second world, third world, but I can't even see Israel. It's like just a bunch of red from what I can see.
No, but there's a tiny. No, but there's a.
Oh, there.
Yeah. There's a tiny speck of blue in the middle of the Middle East. You see that? Okay.
Really?
What?
Yeah, I see it barely, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that's my point. That makes sense. And then Iran and Turkey are second world, and then the rest of the Middle East is all third world. Really? I don't know. Like Israel makes sense.
You could make a case for Egypt being second world.
Yeah, I was gonna say, although maybe I guess he's going with the. Well, okay. Here's the thing. This is the part of the video where he said expect a lot of revolution in the third world.
This map is not totally accurate. Like, it's not first world, second world, third world is not solely based off of like living conditions and how strong the economies are. It has to do with like the way that things were organized after World War I and World War II, and there's a lot of historical implications to what classifies a nation as first world or second world. Like, so it's not purely based on like economics either.
Well, see, I'm happy you said that, because here's the funny thing: after the Cold War, during the Cold War, Turkey was actually on the west side. Iran actually founded a third side called NAM. So Iran actually didn't join the East or the West. Iran actually joined a movement with India and Egypt called the Non-Aligned Movement. So that's why, to me, this makes no sense, is because the ones that they considered third world were not all on the same side. And the second world... And honestly, I was a bit disappointed to see Iran as second world. I was hoping Iran would be considered third world, because he said expect a lot of revolutions. Like... all these countries, yeah, I could see I could see most of the yellow countries having a revolution. I could definitely see that. Like if there's a giant economic collapse.
I could see first world having a revolution.
No, I don't see any country in the first world having a revolution if there's an economic crash.
I don't know, bro. Like, I mean, maybe not a revolution, but certainly a war.
Dude, come on! Look at. Okay, let's just listen. Let's use real historic example. Look at the Great Depression. America didn't have a civil war. Britain didn't. Canada didn't. Like, the Great Depression didn't cause a bunch of civil wars in America either. Or I mean, I'm sure some riots happened, but like you got to use. I think it's just going to be
no. The Great Depression was a byproduct of what happened directly because of a war. Like, I'm saying, if you look at long periods of peacetime in economics, like, and you can do this all the way back since currency, the modern economic system was invented about 500 or 600 years ago. Like, long periods of peace generally result, and long periods of peace that have high inflation almost always result in war. Almost every single time.
Oh no, I think that actually was one of the most fascinating facts. I think every single time there's long periods of peace with high inflation, there's always war. Like, there's literally never been an exception. And the sad part is
exactly what we're living through right now, except the inflation is the highest it's ever been by a gigantic magnitude.
Yes, I know, but I'm saying it doesn't mean there's going to be a civil war. I mean, there could very well be
I didn't say a civil war specifically. I said a war in general.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, like, I know things are very tense right now in the West. The left and the right are yelling at each other about transgender bathrooms or whatever. But this is, again, with an economic crash, I really don't think it's going to cause a civil war. I think, again, there will be protests and riots, obviously, but a revolution or a civil war, no. Like, because literally the Great Depression didn't cause any country to have a revolution, except for, I guess, Germany. But yeah, I mean, literally, Germany was the only first world country that ended up having a revolution. And I guess Italy and Germany.
I have an interesting question for you.
What?
So, assuming all these revolutions in the third world and potentially the second world as well, do you see a potential for a large amount of new communist or socialist states forming from those revolutions?
That's a very good question. I would actually say the opposite would probably happen. I would say it would cause... Well, okay, it depends on the countries. Okay, look at South Africa. 100% there will be a civil war in South Africa, or a revolution in South Africa. Especially because it's already, like, things are already, like, extremely bad. Like, there's already massive riots.
Been ongoing for a while, actually.
Exactly. So, dude, like, literally, if the fucking crash happens tomorrow, South Africa's, like, Yeah, that's definitely. And also, there's like some really fucked up people in South Africa. Like, there's actual parties that are like literally like. Have you heard the joke, like the Black Hitler joke?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, I know South Africa's got fucked up like political shit going on.
They do, yeah, because one of their parties is literally like a black nationalist who literally wants to, or a national socialist, pretty much, who literally wants to like.
It's like a reverse Nazi party.
Literally, yeah, it literally is, because he's literally wants to like I kick out or maybe kill all the white people there and take their land and take their stuff, like literally a white genocide. And also, for some reason, he hates Jews as well. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, every time
Jews always more into the stick, bro.
I know, it's like, dude, okay, like. Whatever, you hate whatever, that's which is bad, it's bad to hate people based on reality. But like, what the hell did Jews have to do with like, it's always randomly like, you know, guys, I want to start a new party where we take the white man, we take their land, we kill them. Oh, also, I hate Jews. It's like, sir, what?
It's because everyone is like operating under this weird assumption that like the Jews control the majority of like the world economy, which like. Yes, they control a large percentage of it, but like the idea that like the Jews are behind like all world economic policy is probably incorrect in my opinion.
It's also pretty overestimated. It is, no, but it's also like it's very. Actually, the funny thing is, I swear to God, the first time I heard QAnon was from a Jewish Trump supporter, actually. But yeah, like it's also pretty. You guys are massively overestimating the Jews. Like I'm pretty impressed with Israel. The fact that like. In their first 50 years of their history, they weren't getting help by UK or USA, and they still stood up. Like, that's pretty impressive. But it's not like they're not even top 10 richest countries in the world, so it's just they were tough and good for them. So
I bet you they are like per capita though.
Oh, I definitely want to check that.
If you look at GDP per capita, I bet you Israel's in the top 10.
Of course, the Jews. Okay.
GDP per capita is kind of more important. Like, it's a more prominent metric than just looking at pure GDP.
Yeah, because apparently sometimes the more people you have in your country, they automatically like statisticians like automatically give you more points in your GDP, which I don't really get. But.
Oh. No, it's literally just GDP divided by like population. But
yeah,
Israel might even actually have a higher GDP per capita than the United States does. Although I don't know, I doubt it, but it's possible.
I was gonna say. Although okay, people forget this a lot, but the U.S. is the third most populated country in the world. It's not this random, like, dude.
It's the third most? Really? I thought Indonesia had more people.
No, see, even you forget, like, dude, Kanzuk, like, the 4 Kanzuk countries, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, UK. Yes. Dude, Kanzuk combined still doesn't have as much population as USA.
I mean, well, one is New Zealand. Like, how many people live in New Zealand?
Oh, well.
It only has about 25 million. New Zealand has, like, what? Maybe, like, 500,000, 600,000.
Okay, dude, listen. California has more people than all of Canada.
How many people live in Canada?
39 million.
That's it? I thought Canada had like 200 million.
No, Canada is big though. It is the second biggest country, but in terms of population, no.
Wow, I didn't know Canada had like at least 100 million people.
Yeah. Although, okay, wait. Oh, sorry, we went off topic. Actually, Andrew, I want you to answer your question because, like, to me, yeah, if there's a revolutions, yeah. I generally no. First of all, like the South American countries, I will bet anything they're not gonna have a socialist revolution. But yeah, African countries maybe have even a national socialist revolution possible.
Okay, so all right, so I can answer the question. So I think it depends on a number of factors. I tend to agree with you. I don't think there'll be a giant rise in communist countries or socialist countries. There'll probably be a few. I think it depends on the way that the revolution is structured. I think it depends on the government's response to it. Now, if a government wants to maintain a lot of control and starts nationalizing industry and all that type of stuff in order to try to control this, yes, I could see it becoming, socialistic or probably more likely fascistic. I think you'd probably end up with more fascistic countries than you would communist countries.
I agree. I 100% agree, actually. I was going to say most of the revolutions will probably be more nationalistic, fascistic, yeah.
So I guess that's my answer to that question. But I could see a few being socialist or communist, sure.
Okay, well, actually, no, let me rephrase that question. When it comes to the fascism, do you think it will be a racial fascism or a religious one? Because I could totally see, if India, God forbid, if India has a revolution, I could totally see it being a Hindu, like a religious fascist.
I think it completely depends on the country, bro. Like, I think in the Muslim countries, it's much more likely to be religious fascism.
Yeah, 100%.
Theocratism.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
With a country like South Africa is fairly westernized. Like, they do have freedom of religion there and a lot of that. So, and it's not a Muslim country. South Africa's not a Muslim country, right?
No, not at all. Actually, let me just make it something very simple. Let me make something very simple for you. If do you see this? Do you know the Horn of Africa? Do you see this little part of the Horn?
Yeah.
Okay. Literally, I'm sorry about this. Let me just take this. Okay. Just take the Horn of Africa all the way to this big part of Africa. So anything north of this is mostly Muslim. Anything south of this is mostly Christian. Yeah. So
I foresee the Muslim countries becoming, yes, like theocratic states, like theocratic fascist states.
Yeah.
But not so much with more westernized democratic countries. Definitely see that taking a more, like, let's say, like, patriotic, nationalistic type approach. Potentially race-based, but unlikely. Probably more, like, akin to the nationalism of Italy in the 19-teens.
Well, no, I actually recently learned that Italy wasn't that racist. Which I was surprised, because, they were friends with the, Nazi Germany. But apparently they weren't super racist, because Italy has, like, some darker Italians and some lighter, so, yeah, they weren't weird.
Fascism is more based around, like, national pride and, like, militaristic power and, like, expansionism.
Yeah, I know, but don't forget, Italy did hate black people and Jews. So, it wasn't like they weren't.
I mean, yeah, like most fascist states do take a race-based approach, but that could change in the future.
True. Actually, speaking of revolution, I think some countries will actually disappear. Like Afghanistan, if Pakistan has a revolution, you can bet your ass they'll expand. They'll try to, or even Iran. Iran will definitely try to take pieces of Afghanistan. Like, many countries that surround Afghanistan would love to take a piece of it and just, conquer it. And like he said before, it's mainly America that pretty much kept the global balance at peace. But if U.S. troops fully evacuate Afghanistan, I could totally see Iran or China or Russia, all of them just taking a piece of Afghanistan. I mean, they literally all share a border.
That is true.
And speaking of revolution, what about expansionism? Do you see other countries taking advantage of a civil war within other countries in the third world?
Oh, absolutely. God, yes. That already happens now.
Now, do you see a first world country taking advantage? Like, here's the thing. Listen, by the end of this, he literally said he believed we're going to be in a
China taking advantage.
Oh, 100%. But China, I'm saying in this chart, China's second world. So I'm saying, he's saying by the end of this Great Depression, we're going to be in a completely different economic world order that you can't even imagine. Which 100% he's right. And I admire the fact that he didn't try to explain it, because he even admits that, again, we don't even know what this new world order will be like. But one thing's for sure, it will be more competitive. However, it will be probably less globalized.
Which I generally think is a good thing. I'm kind of anti-globalization, not extremely, but like I don't know. I definitely favor localization over globalization for sure.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, I feel like that's one of the things that made us so close so fast, because even when it comes to like, I mean, you and I are both pro like legalization of weed or whatever, but even we say leave it to the states. Let's not federally mandate every state must allow weed.
I mean, yeah, like that's one example, but like I would even want like more of a like localized like democratic voting process, for example.
Oh, I agree, but I pray to God you're not saying you want the states to put tariffs on other states within the United States.
Oh no, that's not what I'm talking about. I didn't say trading, I said voting.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Actually, speaking of financial,
more of a localized democracy, like where localized elections and shit like that actually matter. Like, and there's ways to go about doing that. I mean, that's not really the point of this conversation. So.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But okay, I'm saying, do you see the first world taking advantage of any civil war or revolution happening in the third world? Like, specifically...
I mean, no, not likely, but possible, I suppose. I mean, no, not really, because first world countries are not really expansionist in today's, like, world order, so...
But okay, here's the thing. Look at the blue. Look at any part of this little graph or picture that blue and yellow meet. Okay, so for example, let's look at America and Mexico. Do you see America saying, we want to take more pieces of Mexico? It's probably I don't see it.
No, I don't. I do not see that happening.
Okay, what about what is that country? I think that's Chile, the blue one. That's a little thin line. I don't know much about it. Yeah, I don't know much about Chile, but do you see Chile taking advantage of any chaos happening with other countries and say, we're going to take a piece of this?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Probably not, but much more so than the United States trying to annex Mexico, for example.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think so at all. I mean, I think the Mesoamerican War, or the Tex-Mex War, I don't know what they call it, but I think that was the last U.S.-Mexican war. We'll see.
Yeah, American-Mexican War, I think or the Mexican-American War.
Yeah, okay.
I think what it's referred to.
Yeah. Like, I think that's the last, I genuinely think that was the last U.S. war with Mexico that ever happened, or will happen.
I think that was the only war with Mexico.
Yeah, good point. Although, if you heard of the Zimmerman telegram, during World War I, the Germans sent a message to Mexico, hey, attack America, we'll help you.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been funny.
They didn't do it.
I mean, all they did was piss off the Americans, so welcome.
I mean, yeah, like...
Now, Israel does have... there's... I think north of Israel, there's some land that Israel claims or says is there. So if there's a revolution or a civil war there, do you think Israel will take advantage of that?
Well, Israel, correct me if I'm wrong, but Israel tends to be one of the more nationalistic first world countries, yeah?
Oh, yeah, they're extremely patriotic, but it's literally not... honestly, they're the most civic nationalist country in the world, with the exception of maybe America. Like, it's not even, like... I was super surprised, but, like, you don't have to be Jewish to literally be in the Supreme Court or the Prime Minister or President. Like, again, like, it's... So even though it's labeled... It's called the state for Jews rather than a Jewish state. Because a Jewish state would literally be like only Jews are allowed to be in the government. But no, anybody literally, like right now there's a Muslim who's in the Supreme Court of Israel, like, which I mean I'm surprised. I was happy to hear, but I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
So there is it's literally civic nationalists.
I'm gonna have to hop off here in about 5 minutes, just so you know.
Oh, no, that's fine. But I'm just saying, again, it's possible for them. I don't know if they want, like, literally, Israel is one of the few countries on earth that has never invaded another country. Like, every war Israel's been, it's always been defensive. Like, someone attacked them, so they fought back. Like, they have. I was so surprised. They've never actually been the first invaders of any country in their 70 years history.
I mean, I don't know. They do their fair share of offensive attacks nowadays. Well, I mean, they killed the Iranian nuclear minister guy, so... Literally drone.
Was that? I mean, no. They sent a spy or something. But again, it wasn't an invasion. It was spies.
Oh, Israel straight up dropped bombs on that dude's like car, right in front of his fucking car, bro.
That's good.
And they launched missiles at the Gaza Strip on like a weekly basis.
Right, but they would argue the Gaza Strip's not another country.
Well, right, exactly. Like to say that Israel only acts defensively is wrong.
No. But I'm saying I'm saying they've never invaded another country, and that is true.
Not technically, but like, but I could potentially see Israel capitalizing on weakness of other surrounding nations or areas because everything's in dispute. But like, I could definitely see them like potentially like trying to invade. Or definitely like parts of Afghanistan or.
Wait, not Afghanistan. Afghanistan is way too far from Israel. Wait, Afghanistan is way too far from Israel for them to even want a piece of that land.
Necessarily.
You mean Lebanon? Lebanon's the one that borders north of Israel.
I don't know. I get all the fucking countries confused, bro. It's late, and I'm.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. No, fair enough. And I'm glad we talked about this video. I really hope, again, on Saturday, Sunday, we'll do a more formal, professional live stream.
That's fine.
But either way, I'm glad you joined me, and I would love to see WhatIfAltHist.
I'm trying to sound like an idiot because I need to go to bed.
No, it's fine. No.